Welcome to the DRGN SLYR Podcast by East Idaho Credit Union. My name is Steven. With me, as always, is Bailey. And today we have Dani and Cameron from the Fringed Pineapple Boutique, and then also Arrow and F Print Co. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's so nice to have you here. Okay. I always get excited when I have Western folks on. I just feel good about it, right? It makes me
Right up your
warm
alley.
and fuzzy. Yeah. So let's start off. Let's go Fringed Pineapple first, and then we'll talk about the print company. What do you guys do? Tell our viewers and our listeners about that.
So we started out as just a Western boutique, and then we kind of just this last year transformed into printing our own stuff, which that is the other company. So we just kind of started with one little rack, and now we're in a 12,000 square foot warehouse.
Holy cow.
Crazy. It's
Awesome.
crazy.
Wild.
It's been fun.
Okay, so let's go back in time for a minute. When did you guys begin? I think it was like 6 years ago, 2017.
So our first setup
right?
was actually in like a couple days 6 years ago. So April 15th, it was my mom's birthday. We set up at a rodeo, and then our website launched October 5th of that year.
Wow.
So it's been 6 years.
That's great. So how did you decide to start this thing to begin with?
My son, I wanted him to go to our local school, and it just wasn't possible. And so we just kind of were like, hey, I love clothes. I've always loved clothes. So I'm like, let's just do it. He rodeos. So I was like, okay, I'm going to set up while you're at the rodeos. I might as well be there too.
It's a great idea, actually.
And so we started it, and it just kind of, we would take our trailer to the rodeos, and it just kind of expanded from there.
What rodeo events were you doing? This is not really pertinent to this, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I roped calves, and then now I just team rope after.
That's what happens. We all retire to team roping.
We
That's
do. I should have just started in the beginning and went way further ahead, but that's how it goes.
Yeah. How did you decide, like, okay, I'm going to these rodeos anyway. This is the thing that I'm going to do at them. How did that happen in your head? How did that coalesce that way?
I don't even...
Can you think back that far?
She's like, you know what? Somebody's got to pay the bills. This guy's just not winning.
No, so the job I had at that time, I was having to drive to town. And so that was too, I was like, hey, we're going to be there. And
Well, you were so used to, I think what really sparked it was she was moving from the city to Firth, you know, out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
We have winter out there.
And there was winter that year.
So she was basically living with her parents, working in town that whole first year of our marriage and moving into that house. And then I think after that, she was like, you know what, we need to do something different.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I love that. Okay, so you started by going to rodeos. When you went to the rodeos, what were you like? Were you making your own stuff at that point, or were you just sourcing stuff?
We had manufacturers. So we started out with our pink tent. We had a bright pink tent, and I insisted it was pink so everyone could see it. And we had literally one rack, and then we would just kind of spread the clothes out throughout like our
just to
setup.
make it look like you had a lot of
stuff.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And it was in an indoor arena, and it was cold, and everything smelled like a horse after.
Sure.
I'm like, we are very authentic with this. Like, you get the smell.
No extra charge for the smell. Yeah.
And then we ended up, I think there was like this yellow shirt that just kind of, I think it built our business.
Yeah.
Like it was this yellow shirt with a bull skull, and from it just sold like crazy, and we just built off that.
Yeah. So when you were at these rodeos and you're selling that shirt, who was your customer? Who's coming up and buying from you with this? Was it ladies primarily, or
it was a high school rodeo. So it was the girls and they would be like, oh, I need this, and like. So yeah, it was a lot of just the cowgirls would come and buy stuff.
Yeah, love that. Okay, so how did it develop over time? Like, so you were sourcing this stuff, you're bringing the trailer out to rodeos. How did it turn into what you've got today? What was that path like?
I don't even know. I have no idea. I think we were so authentic to our brand. Like, I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted it to be different. I don't know, because when I started, I'm like, I'll just store the clothes under my bed. Like, I never thought in a million years we would be where we are now. But he got hurt. He was a farrier on top of, he was a teacher and a farrier.
Yep.
And he got hurt. And so at that point I was like, hey, we got to grow this thing. And so after that, we just kind of went crazy on it and just kind of started bringing stuff in and growing.
Yeah. So did you decide as part of your expansion plan, like, we're going to go to more rodeos, or we're going to pivot to online a lot more, or how did you do
we
that?
cater to our online. So our online is like where everything comes in.
Right.
Our rodeos now are just like fun.
Right.
So,
Yeah. The ones you'd go to anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we just kind of, I don't know. We just kind of just went with our online. We run we run Facebook ads and we run all that kind of good stuff, but it just grew. Like it just kept growing. And this last year is, I think, we kind of sat down and we're like, hey, what do we want? Like, what do we want our brand to be? And kind of just changed everything a little bit. And that's when we started doing our own thing, and that grew it a lot more too.
Yeah. So how did you grow you did some Facebook ads, but that only takes you so far. How did you grow that online presence so effectively?
Instagram. Instagrams are...
You got questions about that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you've done so well on Instagram.
It's a learning experience, and we've had our struggles, and there's days that I'm like, oh, I can't do this. But it's been what's grown us.
What advice would you give to the young entrepreneur who's on Instagram and trying to grow their business?
Be you. Like, everyone knows, even I'm not, like he said, I was in the city, so I'm not a cowgirl, and everyone knows. Like, I'm just there kind of supporting him at the rodeos. And I mean, I'm part of the Western world now, but I just was true to who we were as a brand.
Awesome.
I think if you're from Idaho, you start off pretty cowboy, even if you're from the city, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you have a little bit in you,
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Yeah. It's kind of the same in Texas, right? Where you could be from Houston, like the third largest city in the country, but you got a little of it in you, you still have that. Yeah. So while you were building that, and right at the beginning, like what kind of struggles did you come up against? Like what was hard?
Gosh, everything.
That's okay. That's what this is all about, right?
When we started, there really wasn't, like, right now you can get on TikTok and they'd be like, start your business like this or do this. And one thing I had to think is, if I can't find it or research it, and like I'll have him help me, then like it's not like I don't go asking like other boutiques, like, tell me your brand or something. I have to find it for myself. So that was kind of hard, is finding quality manufacturers, finding just quality items, kind of.
And where were you? How did you find them? Like, what was
research?
Yeah. So how did you do it? Like, what kind of research were you doing?
Oh, I just looked up.
Went to the library and
no, online.
checked
Google.
out books.
Google is my best friend.
Yeah.
You don't see me at the library. But yeah, I just research is kind of, that's my main thing with this business. That's my main job, is researching everything, from artists for our designs to our manufacturers to everything is research.
Well, and then all the markets that you went to.
Oh, we did go to markets,
I mean,
yeah.
then you can,
tell me about we've had people talk about that a little bit in the past.
Yeah, so they have Western markets.
Yeah.
Like the first one we went to was in Denver.
Yeah.
Which we thought was huge. We're like, oh my
I've been to
gosh,
that
3-4 stories.
Yeah.
And then you go to Dallas and it's like, oh my gosh.
That's a different deal.
Yeah,
it's
overwhelming.
a whole new world.
Yeah.
But then that way, I mean, you can go through and actually physically see things, and I don't know,
You meet your vendors, and
you build relationships.
Yeah.
Which I think is huge.
So for somebody who is going to this stuff, like what kind of advice would you give them as you're going to source product that you're ultimately going to sell? You're going to markets, you're doing research. Like what do people need to look out for and think about?
Don't just buy everything.
Yeah.
Just because
you
it's
want
cute.
to,
You
right?
do. You get there and you're like, oh my gosh. Like, go in with a game plan and really know what your brand is when you're going in there. Because if it's not going to fit your brand, you're not going to sell it.
So how do you, for Fringed Pineapple, how did you narrow down this is what my brand is? Is it just like, well, I like it?
It's me.
Okay.
It's a red hair.
I'm a spunk between, like, I don't even know. I'm just not like, I don't wear button downs all the time. But if I do, I'm going to dress it up to where, it's just kind of who I am as a person.
Yeah. Okay. So at some point you started producing your own kind of designs and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you make the decision to do that? And how do you do it?
I couldn't find it anywhere else. And I was like, I want this and I can't find it. So I just started searching artists and like that. So that's currently what I do right now, is I just search artists and what I want and how we want it to look. And then I'll kind of bounce it off him. Like, what do you think about this? And so then when we decided he was going to join us, he started researching like the printing machines and what we needed to get to that point.
Yeah. So when you're evaluating the artist, are you purchasing or are you licensing the artwork? How do you do that typically?
Both. So they create it exactly for me, and then we'll license it, and so it's like my exclusive design.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then so the equipment how do you produce it? Like, how is that done?
This is your deal.
Yeah. What do you think?
Oh man, so this was a learning experience too. So we started out with actually a machine that printed really high quality, but wasn't as fast. Kind of fit into our budget, but at the same time, just wasn't producing as many T-shirts as she needed.
Was this like one of those screen printer things?
No,
or?
so ours is actually direct to garment. So it basically has an inkjet, and it just prints the image just like a piece of paper.
Prints it right
onto the actual shirt.
Oh, cool. That's
so,
crazy.
Really cool.
I mean, it speeds up the process. I mean,
But it still took forever.
It still took a long time for what she needed.
Well, we didn't think
And
it was
so-
going to be, we thought it was going to be just slowly growing, and we launched at Halloween time, and
Yeah.
people like Halloween shirts, and we were nonstop.
Well, by
24/7.
Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
Wow.
we added another printer by Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And actually, it was before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Because she started releasing Christmas, and it just went crazy.
What is one of these printers called? It's like an
It's a direct to garment, so DTG
direct-to-garment.
printer.
DTG.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
pretty fancy.
I was going to say something else, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know. That's what everybody says.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep.
And so you have two of those now? Or?
So we have two. We actually use one. So it's called DTF, direct to.
Yeah, it is. I thought it might be.
That's right. It's just a little lead in, So no, the DTF
What is that?
direct to
stand for?
filament.
Okay, I was like, I got to be careful what I ask here.
I know,
Yeah.
right? But no, the direct to filament we use a lot on our trucker hats and stuff. So
Yeah,
it's just almost a rubbery type.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Material, and it just heat presses.
It's like
on.
bed liner that you put right on
Almost,
there.
yeah, kind of like that. And so that's kind of one of the first things we started with. But now we just directly print it onto the T-shirt, and I mean, we can get the image that she sends to us, and then we're just mass producing.
Interesting. So when you're figuring out like the design, like are there requirements for the DTG printer?
There is, yeah. You actually have to have it in a certain format,
okay.
to match the printer.
Yeah.
But you can go on and convert all that, and that was also a learning experience. Photoshop is a nightmare.
Yeah. So how did you learn to do all this stuff? Where
You
did
know,
that come from?
After being in education for 8 years,
Mhm.
and having to teach kids, you kind of the same way she does. You just get on and start to research and
Back to the library,
yes,
right? Checking out
self-education.
books.
It's
Yeah.
in there. If there's a YouTube video, a lot of times somebody's done it. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, interesting. So how quickly does one of these printers like shoot out a hat or a shirt or something?
Right now, our new one we can do in about 30 seconds.
Wow.
Wow, that's fast.
That is
So,
fast.
and that's on light colored garments. I mean, it's quick and it's
Mhm.
super nice too.
Mm-hmm.
We do make mistakes though here and there,
Yeah,
but
sure.
like a darker, T-shirt is about a minute and a half.
Interesting.
Because it puts a white background on it.
Oh, that makes
So
sense.
then, your ink has a layer
Yeah.
to sit on. So
Yeah, that's interesting. So part of my job for the credit union is we do a bunch of swag and stuff like that. So I'm
Right.
always curious about how this technology works.
Oh, it's cool stuff. You have
Yeah.
to come check it out.
I have a guy that I just call and I'm like, hey, make me a bunch of these things, and then he
Mhm.
figures it out, and it seems like black magic to me most of the time. But yeah.
That's what I thought at first too. I was like, I got to figure this out.
First of all, I want to ask, where did the name come from?
At East Idaho Credit Union, we offer startup loans for emerging businesses to help support you in the early stages of growth. This could be for inventory, equipment, or other operating expenses. Almost all businesses qualify. Get started today by visiting us at eastidahocu.org/start. Federally insured by the NCUA.
First of all, I want to ask, where did the name come from? French pineapple.
My horse.
Oh, okay.
So,
Tell me.
growing up, my grandpa was a team repper, so
Yeah.
okay, I had a little Western.
Yeah,
but
you're acting
I
like
was
you're like,
kinda
I'm from
little,
New York
But
City.
he
and
had,
I've never even seen a
I have
horse.
never
Yeah.
seen a horse. Actually, when I went to college, I went to CSI and I went to a cowboy town, and I was at a law firm, and they're like, there's cowboys. I was like, oh. Now they're like my best friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wanted to paint horse growing up, and when we got married and moved out to our house, my dad's friend called me and goes, "Hey, I have this rescue horse," and I walked. I'm like, "That's Pineapple." But I also had an aunt that had passed away, and she loved hearts, and so I was like, "Hey, I want this named after her."
Mm.
And I was looking on Pineapple, and she has like her paint spots are like hearts, and
Oh
so
gosh.
I don't know where Fringed came from, but
I don't know.
Pineapple's
Yeah.
the horse.
Pineapple. I love it. It's funny. I have a horse named Holloway, who's named after my great grandfather. And the reason for that is he's kind of a bit, I like him. He's a little dangerous with most people, though, if you're not pretty experienced. And so I've always said, like, yeah, that horse could kill you any moment. My great-grandpa Holloway went to prison for killing his brother-in-law. So that's how he got that name.
I love it.
Oh, goodness. Airing out the family laundry with that one, huh? Okay, so you started this other company. Are you taking outside business then? Is that what you're doing then?
Yeah, we have started taking outside business. We've actually started, I've been working on our wholesale side of things the last month or so. Actually probably about a month and a half now. And that's been an experience, a learning experience.
Yeah.
But it's been good. And as far as, I think the wholesale side, I think is tricky because we got to kind of work together because we want to still keep her side really exclusive,
Right.
and not just water down everything.
Sure. Yeah.
So we've kind of just worked together and figured out what the balance is between that. And it's actually been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. What's it like working like together?
well, we're still here. No, it's been actually, I think, better for us. I think teaching, because I mean, you spend as an ag teacher so many hours there at the school, and then I would want to come home and go rope or do something different. So now that we're together every day, it makes that a lot easier.
Yeah, you get to leave in the evening now, right?
Exactly.
You get to go do some things.
So
Yeah.
no,
The
it's been
first
good.
couple weeks were hard. They were we were both like, what do we do? And then when we figured out our jobs and like what we were doing and got
Is that
everything
what it
running,
was? Is just like making sure the division was right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, what do I do to step in and actually make this valuable, and
Yeah.
then not step on toes, because she's been doing it for 5 years
And doing it well.
and doing it great.
Yeah,
I
you're
mean,
like, I don't want to get in the way.
exactly.
but he also started understanding all I did do, and he was like, okay, I have like an appreciation for
Yeah.
like all that you've done. Like,
Yeah.
It was. You got the inside view, and
yeah.
I mean, I always was just the grunt there for a while,
Yeah.
Like, hey, I
Just
want
pulled
this
my
bill,
trailer.
right? Pull my trailer. That's right. Book the hotel room. Take us to get us food.
You're like her assistant.
Yeah, that's right. Bring me coffee. So.
Oh my goodness, that's funny. Okay, so you mentioned also before we started rolling that you want to turn it into like a cowboy supply company. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so that was my first
That
kind
was
of
the first idea.
the first idea, and kind of that's where my passion, kind of lies.
Yeah.
Is more of the cowboy.
So like
supply
tack
stuff.
equipment,
Yes, sir.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, kind of, because I mean, there's not really a ton of that here.
There's really not.
in East Idaho. I mean, right now we carry Smarty and Helo-matic dummies, and we're kind of working into carrying
Really?
yeah. So that was one of the things we found at market, and I'm like, hey, we got to have this, mainly for myself. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm kind of selfish. But I'm like, this would be great. No one sells them down here, so
I was
let's
just
bring
about to
them in.
say, I don't know where you would even get one here.
Yeah, that's really hard to find. I think the closest one is in Ogden, and so
No kidding.
yeah. So we
Wow.
talked to them.
Does
and built-
any of this make any sense
I
to you?
feel like I'm listening to a foreign language. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh, so these are sleds, roping sleds. You
Okay.
pull
So you
behind a four-wheeler,
prac-
so you can get practice.
roping. Yeah.
Train
Cool.
kids.
Yeah.
It's all.
We race them through. We
Or,
put
yeah.
on them and race them.
Oh, that's cool.
The building,
When,
all
Oh,
that
when
they're
you
made
have
for.
roping calves, you can only rope them so many times a day before they're kind of wore out, right? So it lets
Yep.
you get a few more reps in. which
That
is
makes
It
nice.
does, yeah. It just slows everything down, and they're awesome. Like
Yeah.
they're great.
Great for training, right? 'Cause
Mhm.
when you throw a kid, on a horse and you're getting a line on a cow, there's just a lot of variables.
There is.
And they're just not going to probably be real successful. You'll turn kids off pretty quick.
You do, yeah.
When you have, 20 runs that they blow, it's not much fun. It's
No.
not a lot of fun.
And that's actually been one of the nice things is there's an indoor arena, actually, Snake River Arena in Blackfoot. We've
I
been
know.
going there.
So I live out in Moreland. And
Oh, okay.
I have a buddy that keeps telling me, he's like, we got to get over there. And I
Oh,
still
yeah.
haven't gone.
Ron Foster, he's the man.
Yeah, that's what they
good
tell
guy.
me. Yeah, that's what they tell me.
Is it my dad? That's my dad's name.
know.
You're like, what's my dad doing?
Oh, is your dad's name Ron?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
I was like, what?
That's funny. Well, so my last name's Foster. So
Okay.
everybody there asks me if I'm part of the Foster. I'm not, but they
yeah.
always ask me if I'm part of that clan. But I'd claim them. It sounds like
Hey.
they got a nice arena. I'd probably claim them.
Yeah, shout out to the Fosters.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so as you think through the last 6 years and all the versions and changes and iterations that you've made of this business, and gosh, it's changed a lot from a trailer at a rodeo to this full-fledged, online boutique, and then this whole side business where you're doing production, all kinds of things. That's a really huge evolution. what advice would you give to somebody as they're struggling through and working through their evolution that you've learned through that experience?
Keep going. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
There's gonna be days that you are on the mountain and you're high and you got it, and then there's days that you're falling down that mountain, and you just have to keep pushing through it.
Yeah.
And really keep going.
Were there any moments where you're just like, I'm done with this. This is no fun.
Yeah,
at
was
all.
that last year?
What happened? What happened?
I don't know. So we started out we moved from the one rack, and then we had a small front porch on our house, and then I took over his tack shed. And so we were
that's
it
quite
was.
I think if my wife asked me to do that, I'd be like, there's just not a chance.
Yeah, let me kill all the mice first.
He got it back.
I was about to say that's a nice, very nice man there to do
He has
that.
a really bougie tack shed
Yeah,
now.
I bet he does. Yeah.
But
mine's an old railroad car.
oh, I love it. So it was like Christmas time. We were overwhelmed. We had no room. I mean, how big is that tack shed? It's not
500 square feet.
And we bought a semi. It's cold. Like, it's just like we have so many stories of adventures just with our employees in general.
Yeah,
with
tell us about
working
them.
from our
Yeah.
house. Oh gosh,
Which
what
one?
do we talk about? Do we
Yeah.
talk about the cows getting out,
Yes.
roosters chasing us?
Yes, all of those. Yeah, tell us
I
about
don't
tell us
know.
about the cows. What happened there?
So I like Highline. I love Highline cows, and
Sure.
I have Highline cows.
Seems like
and-
every boutique gal does.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, mine, she texted me, she's like, his name's Howdy, one of them. And she's like, Howdy's just like walking past the window. And he's just out and about wandering. I mean, there's been times we went to put something outside and our rooster would chase them through. We've had goats that we've tried to catch that were like kung fuing off the pens, and we're just like, it's just a never ending
It's a
adventure.
workman's
It
comp
was at our
nightmare.
house. Yeah. But-
Yeah, no, it was always entertaining. I'd get phone calls when I was in class. You know, it's 2:30. I'm teaching. Wife pops up on the phone. I'm like, oh shit. And then I'd get a call saying that all the cows are walking
Cows
between.
are out.
You know, their horses are out.
Those
I
are
mean, I'm
we've-
stuck in the snowbank.
Hey, we've all gotten that call, man.
Yeah, but
We've all had it.
it was always entertaining.
Yeah.
So
I had a buddy. I've told this. I don't know that I've actually ever told this story on this podcast. I know you guys have heard it, but I had a buddy who had a buffalo ranch, and so he calls me one day and he's like, "Hey, the bison are out. Could you come help me round them up and drive them back to the ranch?" And I was like, "Yeah, obviously, I'm gonna do that." So I load up one of the horses and I go out there, and I'm the only guy with the horse. Everybody else brought a four-wheeler, and my buddy walks over and he's like, I should have told you. They don't really respect a guy on a horse very much. He's like, so just, be careful. You'll probably be fine. Just be careful. And so I'm like, okay. So we ride out to this herd of buffalo and we start driving them back. And I will tell you this though, like buffalo don't get driven at a walk, like they go. And I will say chasing buffalo across the plains on horseback is it's awesome.
I was gonna
Like
say, that
there
sounds
it is
fun.
awesome.
dances with wolves.
Yeah,
like-
it's very 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 dances with wolves, lonesome dove, and so we get them back to the ranch and we've got to push them through this gate, and that's when it starts to get interesting, right? Because they don't like being pressured very much, and so I'm coming up one of the flanks pushing this one cow, and she turns around and charges me, and they are fast. They're really fast. And I had this really great quarter horse, and he popped out of the way and made sure I didn't get killed. And that cow went back and started pressuring her again, turned around, charged me again. And I was just like, I got to get out of here. This is not going well for me. But we did finally bring him back in. And yeah, I'll bring a four-wheeler next time.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's always
Yes.
smart.
It was something else. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah, livestock. I mean, especially like ones that, well, my dad actually bought, what are those? The yaks. And he says the same thing. He's like,
interesting.
you cannot work them like domesticated cattle.
Yeah,
like,
they
it's
don't
just-
like it.
No,
Yeah.
it's totally
Ornery.
different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting. We got way off topic here.
Yeah, we did. It's all good.
Okay, so what other kind of struggles did you go through over the last 6 years as you were developing?
I think it was our growth, and we couldn't find enough room for our growth.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's when we moved to the tack shed, and then I just love it. We were in a talk
Yeah,
show.
it's a great story.
Oh
piece,
my gosh.
though, right?
Yeah. And it was December. It was Christmas. I was like, we tried to rent a building and it just, nothing was working out. And I just started bawling in the car. I'm
Oh,
like, how are
gosh.
we going to get through this? And then it was crazy because what was it? 3 months later, we ended up, he actually had mentioned buying the building we bought, but it had a basement. And I was like, I can't believe you let me work in a place that had a basement.
Yeah,
And
that
then
was
we
always
got
a struggle.
it. So then finally we found a place, got room, and just kind of, it was just, we couldn't keep up with the growth and have enough room for it.
Mhm.
It was
we-
actually a blessing though, because
It
we
was.
had
It's a
It's a
built
cool problem.
Well, we built a 1,500 square foot shop on the property about a month before we bought the building, because we were like,
Yeah.
we got to do something.
Yeah, and then you
And-
ended up getting.
And then we
this
bought
great
the building,
shop.
so now we got this shop on the property, and it's built
Oh,
looks
poor
like
baby.
a storefront. I mean, yeah.
It's cute.
So, yeah, it's very cute.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
So did you ever run into problem? And we've heard this story a couple of times, which is why I ask. Did you ever run into problems where you were like, we sold everything, and you're like, oh crap, now what do we do? Like, we sold too much. Did you ever get into that scenario?
No, I watch it so close that I don't feel like we ever really have got to that
Interesting.
problem.
So what do you watch, and what are the barometers and gauges that you evaluate?
I
so
just
that
really
doesn't
watch
happen
the
to you?
back end of our website and
Mhm.
like I'll just be like, okay, this is selling good. And we have a restock thing, so I can go in and see what's selling better.
Mhm.
And we'll kind of like, we'll be like, okay, this is like our graphic tees. That's what people love the
Yeah,
most. But
yeah.
like lately, like for this last time, we needed like dresses for Mother's Day and
Mm,
Easter. So we just kind of really watch the seasons. But that's one thing I did learn is you got to be ahead of seasons. Like we're
Right.
like Hobby Lobby. Like
Yeah.
you, like right now I'm working on 4th of July designs.
Right.
I'm
sure.
almost done with 4th of July, and then we're heading
Interesting.
into Halloween designs.
And then you're
so-
Halloween, and we're in April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my mind's kind of already a season ahead.
Interesting. Does it like mess with your relationships with people where you're like, yeah, I'm talking Halloween here, and they're like, it is July. What is the matter with you?
No, I mean, my mom's the only one I really talk to about it, and she
Oh,
loves it
interesting.
too. She does some of our designs for us too.
Okay, so tell me about this. Like, one of the things that's always really interesting to me is the support systems around entrepreneurs. And you mentioned your mom. What is that
Oh,
relationship like, and how does she help you?
She's been like our tribe on this side. Like
Yeah.
if we're at market, she'll take my son to school. If not, she's like this Christmas, she was there helping us just fold t-shirts, organize. Like they're just by there. My dad was hanging wreaths, like, or if I'm like, hey, this backdrop's cute, like my dad's like, all right, Cam. Like, so that my parents have been super supportive.
Interesting. What other piece of advice would you give to an entrepreneur that's kind of working through their business? You mentioned don't give up.
Yeah.
What else?
Oh gosh.
I mean,
what would you say?
I would just say live below your means.
Yeah.
Like 100%. I think people they have a vision and a dream, and you want to get there fast.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people, it almost gets to the point where you start, how would you explain that?
Well,
like
don't compare your journey to others. Like I can
Right.
look at other boutiques and have these huge warehouses. And when we started, we took $3,000 and we're like, hey, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of budgeted and took around it and grew with that money that we had. But we even Christmas is like insane, and you're going to have sales, but then January comes and everything kind of, it's like the freight train's going and hits a brick wall.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. And so we just learned kind of just to slowed months come.
Mm-hmm. So how do you plan for that seasonality, which is sort of inherent in kind of retail operations? Like, what do you do?
You just know it's coming. So we just we always just set money aside, and it maintains itself. We live below, I guess not means, but
well, I mean, in a way.
Yeah. Just because we had a good November, December, we don't just go buy a bunch of stuff.
Right,
We're
yeah.
like, okay, we're going to.
That's when all your markets are. I mean,
Yeah.
January, you go and, you can go spend a ton of money in market,
Mm.
which, I think you can get a lot of ideas too and get those kind of flowing. But it also gives you that time to rebuild after Christmas. So, you got to take the slow times and kind of enjoy that because it'll always pick back up.
The first 2 years of our slow years, I was like, oh my gosh, we're slow.
We're screwed.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, what did I do? And now this year we just went through our inventory, redid everything. Right now we're moving everything on his side of the business, getting spring cleaning because, the next month it's going to just go crazy again.
Yeah. Well, yours is kind of interesting, and getting into the production and white labeling side of things is interesting because it should add a level of continuity through like the low months,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Because that business should kind of always be humming, which is a really savvy move, actually.
Well, and we're doing now outside custom work
Yeah.
too. So like
Yeah.
I've done stuff for schools.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I have a
Because
friend
that stuff's always going on.
Oh, it is. Everybody
Yeah.
needs hoodies and
Right.
T-shirts, and I mean, and we can get them out super fast.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest thing that people have complaints is turnaround time.
Yeah.
And I mean, where our printer is just speedy. I mean, it's it's no time at all.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Especially for a group that's like, yeah, we need 50 shirts. You can bang that out in a few hours and you're ready to roll. That's
Exactly.
interesting. Okay, so what's next? What's coming?
I don't even know.
Baby.
A baby. Yeah.
Ah!
We have a baby
Congrats.
coming in July. Thank
Yes.
you. We threw a big
Congratulations.
curveball to all of our followers this weekend.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah, so we're kind of just getting everything organized and ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think business-wise, I mean, it'll be the tax store and
Yeah.
getting that kind of going. We've had a lot of people ask and like, hey, when are you going to do this? I'm like, as soon as my wife gives me a little like slow down time, I'll be able to get some things lined out.
Well, I'm trying to think of what's even around that's even like that. So there's like Riverside Boot and Saddle.
Riverside, they have a great selection.
They're pretty good.
Same thing with Vickers and Geislers.
Yeah, they're okay. Yeah.
But I mean, it's like Shelley. I mean, as far as I think we're trying to just get more exclusive type things.
Yeah. What kind of stuff are you trying to bring in there?
Oh, I don't know if I want to give away my secrets.
Oh.
That's fair. That's fair.
Give us a teaser.
I mean, I guess let's just say saddle pads, for instance, like CSI, best ever, things that you don't see a lot of, and they're really high quality. So
yeah. So I'm from Texas, and you know, the town that we moved here from, we had a dozen like really good tack shops. And I remember coming here being like, oh, where am I supposed to get anything anymore? Like there's just not a lot of availability of stuff like that.
Well, and there's a lot of horse people moving into this area too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
When I was actually shoeing, I could see there's an increase in kind of growth with that. Same thing with the lady that I know that she does the chiropractic and whatnot.
Oh, yeah,
and she's
sure.
like, yeah, this area is actually, and people are willing to invest in
I
their
think that's
horses
right.
now.
Yeah.
Versus maybe 10, 15 years ago where, you know, they want it cheap.
Well, and like there's a big difference between like just pleasure ranch horses and like show horses, right? And I think you're seeing more show type people kind of come to the
and that
area
helps our boutique side
in
too.
a major way.
So
Yeah, major way. Yeah, can you imagine? I can't even imagine asking my grandpa about if he wants to like get the horse adjusted. He'd be like, "What are you talking?"
Oh, I
about?"
know, right?
We were looking at pictures of my ancestors, and my great grandma's like woolly chaps with her pistol
Yeah.
on the horse, and I was like, they're gonna look back and look at me and be like, "Oh, my grandma was good on like had TikTok. Mine's riding a horse like all in the desert." Like,
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, goodness.
Have you done any influencer marketing?
Yes, actually, that is. Well, kind of. So I like to go for the moms with like their kids that are just their everyday ranch moms, the rodeo wives that are at the rodeos just watching their husbands. That's kind of where I've learned that we like, I don't know, it's what I love to see, and it's the everyday, like our main like thing is living at work. Like we want it to look like we are living, we're out there. Like, so we'll take a lot of pictures like when we're at the rodeo watching him or just, but yes, influencing market, we've just kind of went for more like
Lifestyle.
the everyday lifestyle people.
That's awesome. Do you have any advice for people when they're like, oh, I really want to get into influencer marketing, but I don't know what I should do? At East Idaho Credit Union, we're changing the future of business with our Velocity Money Market account. You can receive unbeatable returns on tiered interest rates. We have rates up to 2.02% annual percentage yield. East Idaho Credit Union puts local businesses first because when you do better, we all do better. Federally insured by the NCUA. Do you have any advice for people when they're like, oh, I really want to get into influencer marketing, but I don't know what I should do?
Really just find your brand, like with that, with who you are and what you represent, and don't just influence anything, like influence the stuff that you actually would use and trust and would really actually have in your house and wear every day.
That's awesome. Good advice. Has there been a favorite season that you prepare for it? Like, is there one season that you're like, oh, I'm so excited?
I love fall. I love fall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fall and Christmas, those are hers.
I don't know, but rodeo season's starting to get one of my favorites. Like, I'm
That's
really
good.
Oh, yeah.
excited.
Yeah.
Like,
that's solid.
I support
that's
that.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, I was outside yesterday and I was like, yeah, I can
Oh, it's
feel it in my
so
bones.
nice.
I can feel
Yes.
it. It's coming. Yeah.
Yes, but fall season, like the sweaters, just, that vibe with the pumpkins and.
She does love that.
Yeah.
Like August, pumpkin spice lattes come and.
Yes.
I'm an average pumpkin spice girl.
I love it. So good.
Oh, goodness. Well,
I have followed you on Instagram for a long time, a couple years now. I actually didn't even realize at first that you guys were in Idaho. I just loved your brand.
Thinks we're in Texas.
Yeah. And I've loved it. Something I've always been really impressed with is the entire experience. Like when I've gotten packages in the mail, I'm like, this is really cool. Will you talk about just like your thought process behind creating a good experience for your customers?
So I want our packages to look like a present. Like that has been, we have put quotes in our packages. I feel like everyone needs a quote. Like I swear they hit the people when they need them. And so we have put quotes in our packages from day one. And I just love free gifts, like just fun, cutesy kind of stuff. We used to wrap them and stuff more, but as we grown, like we haven't been able to do that. So I'm like, hey, cute tissue paper, like cute inserts. And so that is like, it's a big deal to me. Like no matter how big we get, I'm like, we will always do that.
I love that. I actually still have the tissue paper that you wrap it in because I'm always like, this is so cute.
Is it the leopard one or the?
I have both. I have the
really?
horse and the leopard, and I just have it like folded away. I've never used it, but I just love it so
No,
much.
that's how I am too. I'm like, it's cute. Like we gotta have it.
Yes. And then the little koozie is super cute.
Yep.
I just love it all. It's so good.
Do you have anybody that works for you, or are you guys doing it all? Okay.
No, we have 3 employees.
3 employees.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And what do you have those employees do? You're doing a lot of research, stock, trends.
Yeah. So
all that
our
sort of
one
stuff.
girl that we were laughing yesterday. She was seasonal. She was supposed to help me organize, but now she's been with us for 2 years. She is our saving grace. So she just does all the intake stuff, what comes in. She's been. Now that I'm expecting, she's been doing our try-ons and stuff because I haven't been able to do them. And just everything kind of at the warehouse versus then I can just kind of work from my computer wherever I'm at. And our other girl ships and kind of just helps tagging and stuff. And then the other employee helps him print.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's actually an old fraternity brother of mine and was also a teacher over in Jerome.
He was our preacher that married us.
Yeah,
that's
I
so
love that.
funny.
And so, we go way back. But,
That's great.
Yeah, so it makes it a good time.
Is it unusual to like be in business with like somebody like that that's like a friend? Is that, do you ever feel like, oh, I don't know where like the employer relationship ends and the friendship begins? Like, is that ever an issue?
No, I don't. I mean, not with him and I.
Yeah.
I'm sure it could be with some people.
Yeah.
But I mean, we just keep everything real straight up forward.
Sure.
And, there's no gray area.
There's not with me. I'm a
just black and
person.
white.
My girls know I'm like, you're not in trouble, but like this just needs fixed. And they're
But
like, okay.
you can never do that again.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, because I mean, we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all working for the same goal, really.
Right.
So,
What's your message to the world?
Oh gosh, that one's hard. What's my message to the world? Live for you. At the end of the day, you're gonna have to make all the decisions, and it's gonna have to all fall on you, and you have to live with it all.
I would say enjoy the process. Because I mean, like where she started and even where we both started, like it's when she was winning like boutique awards of the year and stuff, it's like, okay, well, I've done that. What now?
Yeah.
And it's like you kind of almost reach that point. It's like, okay, I won that, but like, how would you say it? It's like you're in, I guess, working towards.
Yeah, I was like, well, what do I do now? Like, we got top 10 global, and we're in this group called the Boutique Cup. So in theirs, they did this thing, and we got top 10 global. And the lady messaged me. She's like, I can't believe this. Like, this is awesome. And it was like after that, I'm like, okay, what now? Like, what do we got to do now? Like, you just always have to.
Yeah, you're just
enjoy
working
where
like
you're at.
Yeah, just the daily process of just like showing up, enjoying the people you're around, and then, enjoy the hard days, really enjoy the good days.
Yeah.
We never actually had a plan for him to come work with us. So like it just, I don't even know how it came into the process.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm glad it is now.
Yeah,
I mean,
me too.
I'm very blessed.
Yeah.
They'll see people's success stories and they're like, that could never be me. But like me, I was a single mom and I worked 2 jobs. I was that like Reba song, like, and so, and now I'm like, I really like, we laugh about it. I'm like, that really was that song. But like now here I am self-employed. My husband's employed with me now. And it's just kind of like, you can be that story. You just have to take the leap of faith to be that story.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think a lot of people get paralyzed by like the what if game. What if it doesn't go right? What if it's hard? What if whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think the thing is just like, just go for it. You got to just go for it at some point.
You do. And it was scary even like, stopping education.
Yeah,
and,
I bet that was crazy for you.
It was actually, I was super nervous to step out of that comfort. Cause that's a paycheck every month, no matter what.
No matter what.
And as long as you don't get fired, you're good. So, and I really enjoyed the job and I learned a ton. But it was, when I did step out, there's a lot of faith that was involved in that. And we prayed about it a lot too before. But yeah, I think it's definitely been a good decision for both of us. So, but yeah, don't be afraid to, I guess, take that leap like you were saying.
Yeah.
So
be cautious. Like, check
Well,
out
have
what
a-
you're
have
gonna
a
do.
game
Yeah, have a
plan.
game
Don't be
plan.
crazy.
Yeah,
but
don't be crazy.
yeah.
But like, even when he was just talking about opening his cowboy store, I'm like, hey, just give me a game plan.
Yeah.
Kind of show me where you're at.
write up a business plan. Say,
Yeah.
okay, this is what we're going to do. This is what I'm going to do with my time. Because otherwise you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs. Like, how do I support her or your business?
Yeah. Call me when it opens. I'll be your first customer.
Oh, heck yeah.
What resources have been beneficial along the way? Do you listen to any like podcasts, like books, like even just people?
Oh, Better Human. It's a full-time job. I'm trying to think who wrote it. That was one of the
That was
books
a really good book for you, yeah.
We both all of us will just bounce off podcasts. We listen to a lot of Joyce Meyers. What's that one? Ed Milet.
Yeah, Ed Milet's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to a flatbed podcast. He's an old kind of cowboy type. He's actually a pastor out of Oregon. I just started. It was Jordan Weavers who actually does it, and he just has tons of really cool cowboy stories. But then they also talk about business and just how people got from one point to another. And success is such an interesting topic.
It's a weird one.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think like everybody's got their own story and kind of how they got there, but it's all that similar pattern. It's like everybody just has to stick with it and enjoy the highs and the lows.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think a lot of outside observers would suggest that, it's like lightning in a bottle and it just happened to you, which is nonsense. Like, of all the people that we've interviewed for this podcast, the one thing that is consistent across all of them is they're tenacious. Like they can like, something bad can happen to them and they'll just keep going and they can keep working.
Well, I really thought, I'm like, I have no other choice. I don't want to go like, I'm going to just keep going.
Yeah, you can't go back to that Reba song, that's for sure.
I'm not going to go back. Yeah. So I'm like, I just got to keep going. So that's kind of just what we do is just keep going.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like one of the things I've talked about before, like I like to hire typically two types of people. And it's kind of a way to like get a shortcut to knowing like kind of what some of their attributes are going to be. And so a lot of the times I like to look at people who played like high level competitive sports or like farmer ranch kids. Like, I just know some things about them before they ever step into the building that are good to know.
Well, they're usually pretty gritty too.
They're gritty. They're
And
hard workers. They take direction well.
Yeah, and that's hard to find anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's too with us. We're two opposite personalities. We are
100%.
And so like it kind of balances us out now because I'm like, I don't even know.
You're on fire.
I'm just go. And he's like, okay. And I'm organized, but he's more tech savvy organized. And I'm just like, just get it done. Let's go. And like,
but it's a good balance. Like we've had to learn along the way how to handle that. But it's been really good for us. I wouldn't be the same person I am today, if we hadn't built that relationship and got married.
Yeah. Well, the people that we surround ourselves with do so much to mold us into what we ultimately become. And I think it's valuable, especially like in a work relationship, to have people who are just not the same as you.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a young leader, I hired a team of people that were like just like me because I thought, well, I'm great, so this makes sense.
Right.
and it was not good, right?
No.
It just didn't work very well. And I recognized over time that I need people who are like radically different than me, so that they can fill in whatever those like flat sides of me that might be. And that can be just really, really helpful.
Well, as long as they have that same vision, like if they're, excited about what you're doing and they have those skills. Everybody brings something different to the table. We even we're coming up with designs or ideas. We'll just sit there and have lunch with our employees and bounce ideas off. And that's where we come up with some of the greatest things.
Yeah.
It's just,
You just sit there and laugh. And
Oh,
talk
yeah.
Oh my gosh, our lunches. We
It's
keep
great.
saying we need a podcast, just what we have to talk about there. We're like, this is out of control here.
Yeah, it's
But
great.
That's how it is with our employees too. Like it's just all pieces to a puzzle. Like we always joke around, like we're not team players, but we are because we all end up doing the one goal in the end, but we're kind of just like, okay, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what I do, go team, and then we get it all done.
That's how team works ultimately, right? Like if everybody's trying to do everything, then that doesn't work, right? That just gets real messy real fast. Yeah, it's the trick of getting all these disparate kind of functions aligned in the same direction. That's the real beauty of it.
Oh, for sure.
So when you were looking to like add your first person, hire your first employee, first of all, what triggered that? What was like, golly, we just need somebody?
And then how did you choose 24/7.
She was too.
I was working. It was bad. And so I was just working so much. I had no time. And then it was actually, was it one of your students?
Yeah, it was. It was one of my students. Yeah. And I was like, hey, you need to come and work for my wife. Not only she needs your help, but this would be a really good experience for you as well.
But at that time, it was still in our front porch. So they were like working off our counter, and we were
I'd
like
be making
cooking dinner. It was just like, there's one of our stories. Yeah. So and funny. Then, so that's why I'm like, let's move it out to the tax shed. And then that's when it's still, but we just found him through the girl we have now. Her sister-in-law worked for us too, and she was one of my actually first customers. And then that's when we hired her, and we've just kind of we've kind of just put it out there. Hey, we're going to be hiring, and
how did you pick, like, what was it about this kid that you were like, yeah, that's who we want?
She was actually a FFA officer.
Yeah.
She was actually the president of our chapter.
That's
so
a
she
good
had,
start.
Yeah. And you know what? She was reliable. She would show up to everything. And I'm like, hey, that's half the battle right there. And I mean, she was usually pretty organized. And I mean, I think that's the biggest key is if you can get somebody that's willing to like listen and then actually do what they're told in a way, like, and then show up. Like that's probably the biggest thing. We've had some that haven't shown up, but it's just
right now we have a really good team.
We have an amazing team right now. And that definitely makes life easier.
Yeah,
for sure. It's hard to put a value on like a great team.
Oh yeah.
Really, because it doesn't become super apparent until you have a bad team. And like, oh my gosh, this is more work.
That's when you're questioning, like, why did I start this?
Yes, that's right.
Because I don't know, as you build and get growth, I mean, I think that was our biggest thing is we would just hit these plateaus, like, and it just over and over again. We had to decide, okay, what do we do next? We just continue to expand our business, or do we just bring it back to where just you and I can do it? And then, I don't know. I think we're in a good spot though right now.
How do you make the call when you hit one of those plateaus of like, let's go big or let's just kind of be fine here? Like, what does that conversation look like?
We kind of just look at like, okay, is this really worth doing it? Like there was actually a time when we were going through the questions, we were like laughing about this. We were at a show and I was doing shows almost every weekend and I was getting like I was just getting sick and worn out. Yeah. And we were sitting there eating dinner and he looked at me and he goes, why are you making yourself sick to make money? And I was like,
oh, that's one of the most poignant pieces of advice I've heard in a long time.
Yeah. And I actually that night I got super sick and he almost had to take me to the ER and we were in Montana. And so at that point, that's kind of when we're like, okay, we're going to figure out exactly what we're doing and where we're going to be.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, why are you doing this? Like, what's your overall goal besides money? Because money, I mean, it
gets old.
It does. It's like you reach your goals and it's like, all right, well, what now?
What now?
Right now, our son's like at the age he's starting to play sports. And I was like, I'm not going to miss his game because I'm at a show. Like the money's not worth missing those memories with him. So that's kind of right now where like we want to be parents, but at least have our business and keep going.
I think that's a really great piece of advice, actually. Like, you got to understand why you're doing it. And if it's to make yourself sick, then keep going. But if it's to do something else, then you have to align what you're trying to do with what you're actually doing. And that can be painful because I think like part of how we measure success, like the scorecard, is revenue, right?
Yeah.
Like that's everybody's
Yeah.
scorecard, and we think so. More must be better.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be though.
Yeah, because you got to put a value on time, and I think we had that conversation a lot. I mean, that was one of the biggest reasons I became a teacher. I'm like, man, June, July, and August, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the kids, but time's amazing.
Yeah, fair enough.
But no, I think that had to happen though, for her just to be able to see it.
Yeah.
Until you really reach that point, there's no really way of telling somebody, hey, you need to like slow down.
Right.
Or like figure something else out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That's not a piece of advice we hear frequently, but it's a good one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so we've really functioned like this year. We're like, hey, where are we happy? What are we good with? Like, let's do that and build what we want to do and what we're happy with.
I remember hearing a friend of mine was talking to this kid. We were at this conference and he's very successful. And there was this kid that came up to him and was like, hey, I got this idea for a business. Can I run it by you? And my buddy, and I was standing there, I just got like a front row seat to this whole thing. And so the kid does his pitch and he talks about this business that he wants to start. I don't remember what it was. It was something stupid probably, but I'm just kidding. It was really funny. But one of the things that my friend told him in response, because the kid was a little bit like, I know it's not like $1 billion idea. And my friend's like, it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
Right? Like, can't you be satisfied with a $10 million idea?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
is that not good enough for you? Like, what do you need in your life that makes you think it's got to be $1 billion idea? And the kid was like, oh, like it gave him like all this, like it's okay to
have
play by that particular rule, like 10 million's enough or whatever it is, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, that's always struck me, like, because everybody wants to be the next Bill Gates or the next Elon Musk, and that's great. But is that really what you want?
Is it who you are? Is it
really
what
you
your
wanna do?
lifestyle? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's for sure. Well, and there's so much out there anymore. It's like if somebody wants to be successful, I mean, if you just put in the time and the effort and just have that, well, it's like, how do you change the world in a way? And then kind of go from there and can build your team around you and then just let the sparks fly, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm going to get a, watch this because I'm going to get a sneak preview as to what's going to end up in his shop. Here.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So favorite, I don't know, heel rope brand. What do you like to throw there?
Right now I'm healing with Classics Powerline Light.
Good one.
I
Okay.
got to work on Classic though, because you got to have that storefront like opened
I
up
think
before
that's-
they're like,
I
you
think
know,
that's
hey,
right.
you can carry us now.
They want to
You're-
make sure you're
yeah,
the
you're
real
vested.
deal.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like a lot of Western brands are kind of that way. Like, so we're
Yeah.
friends with the folks over at Jacksonville Hat Company up in Salmon,
oh yeah.
and they were talking to us about like trying to get stock of American hats in there and what a pain that was.
Oh,
how
it
hard
is.
they were to deal with doing that.
We found a lot of that especially when we were first starting out, going to markets and different things. Like,
But as we started wholesale, I realize it now because I'm like, you really want them to represent your brand. Like
100%.
you, like,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
the people that are carrying your stuff, like they're basically representing you.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want it to end up in some weird biker bar down,
Yeah.
wherever, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that would happen, but yeah.
hey, you never know.
You never know. You never know. Okay. Favorite just all around ranch saddle.
Oh, all around ranch
Yeah,
saddle.
brand. What brand? What do you like to
Man.
ride?
Well, like I guess right now I'm riding a Coates.
Okay.
Which I just got one this spring, which has kind of been a dream of mine.
Yeah.
But her grandpa has a Dale hardwood, and I
Mm.
mean he doesn't make them anymore,
Right.
But I mean, at the same time, like
So who's gonna end up with that old saddle there?
I don't know, I've been working him. So,
You brought it up to my grandpa the other day. I was like, oh my
I was like, hey,
goodness.
how about that saddle?
I mean, it's something cool we can keep in the family.
That's what.
so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of those heirlooms that you just don't get rid of, you know.
No,
Yeah.
you got to hold on to them one way or the other. Okay, tell me about how about boots? What kind of boots are you into?
Oh, I don't know. We've actually talked about carrying boots.
I carry Liberty Black.
I guess right now, what do I mean, I like Hondos and I like the Boulets.
I got a pair of Hondos. I like.
Yeah,
quite
they're
a
just
bit.
classic.
They're just
Like,
classic. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I grew up around Hondos.
yeah,
so.
they're a cool rough out leather on them, and I like them a lot.
Yeah, and no
I
one
think-
really carries them around.
Why is that?
I
It's
don't
so
know.
weird. Yeah, they're all over Texas, but I came up here
Yeah,
because I needed a new pair of boots, and there's nowhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's weird. I guess, Idaho Cowboy Supply back home. They're the ones who got me fired
they
up
have
about those. Yeah,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, they call it the upper is they call it the colors volcano.
oh yeah, see, they got cool names for stuff.
Cool
you know?
names.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think those are made in El Paso. Is that right? El
I think
Paso,
so,
Texas?
yeah, I think
that's
you're
where they
right.
Make those. Okay. What else?
Wow.
Oh, bits. Tell me about bits. What are you into?
Oh man,
Yeah.
I love custom bits.
Well,
But for the store, like
Yeah,
we'll
for the
probably get
store.
some Duttons and
Yeah.
stuff, just basics, professional choice. And But maybe we'll get some custom. Maybe I'll call Randy Reed up.
That'd be cool to get. Oh yeah, that'd be cool to get a few customs in there.
That's right.
I mean, look, a lot of people have ridden classics and they're happy with those for years.
Great stuff.
I have one of my bridles set up with a couple of those. In fact, I think the snaffle I'm running right now is one of those, and it's great. Did any of that make any sense?
Nope.
That's all right.
Oh, it's all
She's
good.
just
This is
sitting
like
there what's going on?
the bougie tax
Basically.
stuff.
Now this is a Fringed pineapple, right?
It is.
Yes. NFR.
Yes.
Part of
Is
our
this an
NFR.
NFR special here?
Yes.
I like it.
In fact, I had to watch the website really closely for like a restock because I can't remember if it was the jacket or the pants went out of stock.
Yeah.
And then I saw it come back and I was like, yes, I get the whole outfit because I bought the one but not the other. So I was really excited that I got the entire thing. It's so sparkly and everyone always.
But you get comments constantly.
Well, you're not
Yes.
meant to blend in. You gotta
Yeah,
stand
no
out.
kidding.
Like,
No kidding.
I love it. It's my favorite.
We were doing something in Boise not long ago,
Yeah. And I wore this.
and we were kind of done for the day. Then we were eating dinner and sat at dinner, and I think it was like in that hour, it was like 8 people came up to talk to you about what you were wearing.
Yes.
I
It
love
just
it.
happened
Yes.
over and over and over again. I was like, we're trying to eat. Would you just leave us alone? But yeah, anyway,
a
it's
good
working.
one. It's a good one. Yeah, I have the blue pants as well.
Oh, I love those.
I love those.
Pants, yes.
See, none of that makes sense to me.
Nice.
Okay, if you won,
I understood NFR. That was the last thing I understood. Yeah.
that's hilarious. If you won $10 million tomorrow, what would you do next?
You know what you do. I know what I do too. I would buy more land and get more highlands and start a dog rescue.
Oh,
Not just
interesting.
a dog rescue.
A shag dog. I have little
Oh,
Idaho shag.
like
It's called
the
Idaho
shags?
shag. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I've
I
seen
love
those.
her with all my heart. And so I keep telling him I'm going to start a rescue. He's like, we will end up with so many dang dogs.
Mm.
No.
Mhm.
That's what I would do.
I like that one. That's not bad.
Man, I don't even know. Like, I'd probably just do something similar, but I'd probably also have a lot of really nice head horses. And
Yeah,
you
that
know.
was my first thought with that one. Is
Yeah.
I would spend too much money at like the NCHA futurity sale.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that's what I would probably.
wouldn't that
do.
just be fun? Just
Yeah.
not have a budget.
Yeah, yeah. it would.
Ugh.
You could drop $1 million on a horse without even trying.
Oh, you could. I'd
Yeah.
probably buy a racehorse, honestly. I think that'd be kind of cool.
That'd be
Race.
interesting.
Yeah. Just, break into that world too.
You make some money.
You
that's
may,
for
hey, you
sure.
never know.
You make some money. Interesting. What would you do? 10 million?
Buy more sparkly suits. I actually really I don't have much interest in the actual NFR, but I want to go because of the outfits.
The outfits?
Well, it's
Yes.
such an event, even if you're not interested in the actual
Yes,
rodeo. Yeah,
100%.
Just
yeah.
the atmosphere of the Western world is
It's fun.
it's
It is.
amazing. The people are amazing.
It's a cool community.
It is. It's just like your own little family, kind of.
It's even
On
going
your
to these
own.
markets and just seeing,
Yeah.
these people that come in and purchase this stuff. And I mean,
Yeah.
from the Western world, it's cool.
We've actually
honestly.
made a lot of friends through markets too.
Interesting.
When we went to Arizona a couple times this winter, and just to see my friend that was there that owned a boutique.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good place to go during the winter.
Oh,
Yeah.
Especially
boy.
this one. This one was so
Oh.
rough.
It
Yeah.
was. Arizona was nice.
I bet it was.
That sounds nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
It's hard to come home.
I know. There is something interesting about this community. It's just a cool community to be part of. I used to work at the American Quarter Horse Association and got to hang out with these kinds of folks all day long, every day for a couple of years, and it was great. And they're kind and they're supportive and understanding, but also really forthright and direct.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a good group of folks.
It is.
It really is.
No, we've been pretty fortunate to kind of grow up in this industry and be around it so much. Especially now with her and her boutique is actually, you would never think it, but it has opened up so many doors for us.
I can
and
only
that,
imagine. Yeah.
I was very surprised.
Yeah.
Well, and then did you tell them about your 30 over 30?
That just aged me.
I know. But this is cool. This is cool.
It was cool. I just got a random tag on on Instagram, and I was like, "What the heck?" And we got nominated for 30 over 30 in the Western industry.
It's awesome.
That's
So,
amazing.
It's
I
awesome.
was like, "What's going on?"
It's okay. Over 30 is not.
I know it's not. It's good.
I've been trying to tell Bailey your 30s are actually better than your 20s.
They are.
100%. I don't have
Yeah.
to work near as hard.
Yeah.
I love that. That's amazing.
That's true.
Yeah, I turned 30 this year, but
Embrace it.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's better.
It
yeah.
is.
I think it's much better. Okay. What is the lunch or dinner with the, what is that question?
Oh,
how does that one go?
historic figure,
Yeah,
that one.
yeah.
If you could have lunch with any historic figure, who would it be?
So she knew
Well,
yeah.
not really historic, but my ancestors. Like I said,
Oh,
like
yeah.
my ancestors, like I don't even know why I wasn't really super Western before, because they were just totally my one great grandparents had a ranch. Like
Mhm.
my other grandma was the one I talked about. My other grandpa was just they were all just, I don't know who we are kind of now looking back. I'm like, I just wish I could go back and have like lunch with all of my like great grandparents and be
Interesting,
like,
huh?
hey,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Who would you choose?
I know. I really couldn't think of just one person. Like, you
Pick
know
a
what I mean?
couple. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'd say like John Wayne for sure, because
that'd
he
be
was
a cool
such a
one.
big influence on the Western
Huge,
industry.
yeah.
That's a good one.
Like I was actually thinking about it the other day. Like, where would we be without, you know, cowboy movies? And kind of where we would have gone.
Not the spaghetti western.
Right.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I know it's kind of a weird thought,
Yeah.
but I would definitely like to pick his brain.
Yeah.
And he was also a patriot too.
Right.
Like, really, you know, loved America.
Yeah. One of the weird things, like if you think about timelines, like John Wayne was alive when like Wyatt Earp was alive.
Yeah.
Like at the same time. Isn't that the craziest thing in the world to think
It
about?
is.
Mhm.
I think we forget how recent that actually was. It was
Yeah.
like, you know, you go back a little over 100 years ago and it's
It is.
horses and wagons and yeah, it's weird.
It's
Weird to
just
think about.
Even seeing pictures of Idaho Falls, you know, 60, 70 years ago.
Mhm.
I mean, now there's a police station over the, you know, the
Yeah.
stockyards that they're building.
Yeah.
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 And so it's just weird to see like where the railroad tracks are and how they just built everything around that.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Thank you for joining us on the Dragon SLYR podcast by East Idaho Credit Union. We'll see you next time.
Woo!